I've been doing every intro. Do you want to do the
You
intro?
you choose to receive? No, I think it's consistent when you do it. I like how you say the.
Yeah, like the Ohio State University.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's do it. I'm ready.
Hi everyone. Welcome to the MikeDrop podcast. Today we have episode number 14, music competitions. I'm Mike Truesdell, and I am joined via the internet with the amazing Mike Compitello.
What's up? I'm ready to compete. I'm feisty.
So I don't know if we're going to edit this in or not, but before we started, we had a rock, paper, scissors competition to see who was going to do the intro today. Because
Yes.
we learned after the Super Bowl of 24 that it really matters that you have a strategy for whether you're going to receive the ball
Yes.
in overtime.
Yes. Fortunately, our podcast doesn't go to overtime.
I think it's fortunate.
It's fortunate for our single listener
Hi,
that we
listener.
don't go to overtime. Hi.
Hi, listener. We're speaking to you directly.
Yes. Yeah, breaking the fourth wall,
Yeah.
so to speak. So I love your idea to talk about music competitions.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm excited to dig in a little bit and get your thoughts, since I think you've probably done a lot more of these than me. And of course, I've had students do competitions and a lot of classmates, but I'm really interested in getting your thoughts about the who, what, wheres. But first, I bet you have an incredibly basic question that I will struggle to answer.
I don't think it's basic, because I don't necessarily need to say what is competition, because I feel like we'll probably get into that. But what I am interested in is why competitions? Like, what is the point of somebody going through all of this? And I think we'll probably come back to this time and again here as we talk. But
Well,
like,
what
do you think?
I was thinking of the same thing, and I came up with 6 answers for music competitions.
I came up with
But-
7.
Really, you did?
No, I did.
Well, I technically have 8, so
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I'm winning. So we're talking about music competitions, not just Olympiad, pentathlon,
Right.
anything like that, right?
I would
Okay.
assume, yeah.
Here, do you maybe you should start, because you're more experienced in competitions, and I was listening to some of our previous episodes
Yeah.
to refine, and I think I'm talking too much, and I think I would love to hear more Mike T.
I think it's great that you are analyzing our previous episodes the way like Bill Belichick would like analyze the like Chargers defense.
I think we need better special teams as a podcast. We got to work on the special teams. We focused first on the intro, then we
Yeah.
focused on ending the podcast,
Yeah.
which took a couple episodes to figure out. Now we need to work on the middle.
Okay. Seems like a lot of work.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
Well, I'll see you next time.
Yeah. We're going to hold a competition for someone who can figure out the middle of our podcast.
Wait, that's the time when we need sponsors so that we can cut away
Right.
like a TV timeout in a game. So we can cut away to hear from,
jet pens.
jet pens. That was my idea. Or Ithaca Bakery.
Ithaca Bakery.
Or-
I think
yeah.
if there's anyone out there from Ito N Tea, that's probably my number 1 on the list at the moment. I would
Just
I would,
for
yeah.
Oh,
I'd
go
listen
ahead.
to. I'd listen to. Or I'd put the patch like above the fold here
yeah, me too. I would get it. I would
on
get
the
it.
collar. Maybe we
Yeah.
could do, because like now I'm sporting the Madison Mallards hat you got me.
Yes.
I
love it.
And soon we'll get to the MikeDrop merchandise.
Yes. I mean, I unfortunately, because of something else I had to do today, I'm not wearing my MikeDrop shirt. But we were talking earlier about how it would be great to get jumpsuits.
Yeah.
And in the style of Formula One drivers, to try to see what kind of sponsorship we could get. And so my assessment, analyzing our previous 13 episodes, is that it would be great to cut away to something in the middle, just to give people a break from us.
Yeah.
Maybe we could cut to another podcast.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
We could have like a Freakonomics or Conan O'Brien.
Yeah. I was thinking Marketplace. I love their theme song.
It's a good, yeah.
It's in 5/4.
I,
That would be great.
Okay, we could
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
Or what if we snipped out a part of a podcast, like a future or past podcast, and we just like stuck it in the middle of like name that tune.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah. What is this?
Which one is this?
Well, I do listen to this podcast called 20,000 Hertz. It's about
Okay.
sound.
Yeah.
And every week there is a mystery sound. And you can write in to say what that sound is.
Love
we
that.
could do like a mystery podcast every week. What is this audio recording?
Right. Do we have rights to this or not?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Or it could be a mystery percussion sound.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've somehow become addicted to Zildjian earth plates.
Oh, well, I mean, who is not addicted to Zildjian earth plates? The greatest Zildjian invention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But R.I.P. I guess. Yeah.
How many do you have?
I have 2 with 2 on the way.
I have 5.
You have? How'd you get?
2 points.
It's, wait, do you have 3 of which one? 3 of the high?
I have 3 low, 2 high because I went to the Zildjian factory, I think in 2012.
Dang.
And I was buying some cymbals.
Yeah.
And I just happened to ask Keith Aleo,
Right.
the fabulous Keith Aleo,
Amazing.
do you have any earth plates? And he said, we're discontinuing them, but we do have some. And I said, how many do you have? And he said, 5. And I said, I want them all.
You
And so
took the last earth plates.
I think so. But I heard a little birdie told me that they might be coming back.
I saw them on Steve Weiss like a month ago, but they're not on there anymore.
It's cool when they're new. They're purple. And then they oxidize, but they're like bright purple and shiny.
Oh.
Yeah, like a newborn. I like the way the Statue of Liberty was originally copper colored before it became green.
Yeah.
So I wonder, we could probably put that in the show notes, a picture of my newborn earth plates. But it turns out all they had to do to endear themselves to me was just not finish the cymbal.
Yeah. And what was it originally? It's just like a hunk of like...
It's a halfway done cymbal. So they rolled it this way, and then you would roll it the other way and then start hammering it. But someone was just like, it's like one of those par-baked baguettes.
Yes.
Then you take it home and you finish baking it.
Yeah, I love that. Papa Murphy style.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for all the Midwesterners there.
Okay.
Nice. So we're back to competitions. Why competitions? I want to hear your thoughts.
Okay. So I think that there's a few really positive things. I don't feel like the why of competition for anybody should be to win. So let that be known. And I know that might be controversial, especially for the competitive people out there. But competitions, I feel like what I'm going for, if you go to win and you win, then great. But if you are like setting out to do a competition solely to win and you don't win, then you have a 100% loss.
That's a good point.
But if you do the competition for other reasons and make those reasons something that are guaranteed wins, then if you don't win, or place in the top 3 or something and get the money or whatever you're looking for, then it's a win. It's a percentage win for you. So for me, like the things that were really important to me when I did the Tromp competition in 2010 was I wanted to, number one, meet people who are like-minded with me, and almost everybody's going to be in the same boat. If you're all playing this similar repertoire, whether it's Tromp or Geneva or modern snare drum or whatever, PASIC competition, I wanted to learn new pieces and learn about new pieces. So when I went to the Tromp competition, I actually went and watched everybody else perform.
Wow.
And afterwards, I got copies of their music to learn about these new vibraphone solos. In the first round, you can pick your own vibraphone solo, and so I went that direction. That I was here to learn and to meet people and to get new perspectives and to try to get a more global view of what this art form is. And so no matter what, no matter how I played, if I tanked after the first round, and I just sat there, it would have been a win for me. So I think that's really awesome. Great use of somebody's energy and time, because that's invaluable info.
Yeah,
what do you think?
Definitely.
What else did I miss?
I think you covered some of my 6. So I'm gonna repost with some other ideas. I think one that sort of implied is to raise your level. Just to get better, because nothing focuses you like a music competition. You're probably going to learn a lot more music than you have for a long time. You're going to have to learn it maybe more quickly. You're going to really have to be able to plan long term. You're going to have to up your technique. You're going to have to up your ability to perform without performance anxiety. So just in general, I just like drum corps, people who return from competitions are just sort of stronger, at least I think. Did you see that when you were getting ready for competitions?
Oh yeah, and amazingly enough, that's even on my list. I think it's one of those super important things, and basically competing in the Tromp competition in 2010 basically changed my life.
Wow.
And it wasn't because I placed or I got some money for it, or I did a small little tour of stuff. Like the bells and whistles around it were helpful. Like we got professional promo pictures taken, and we had a chance to, eventually, like, I played in the Concertgebouw, and I got to do some really cool things because of it. But none of that matters as much as the forum of the competition. Like it gave you a way to reinvent yourself and see how far you can push yourself to learn music and be refined and understand something and think on every level about how you do something or how you approach music. So I think there's a lot of people who approach competitions with a sports mindset. And for me, that was completely, like, almost the opposite of what I felt music was by the end of this preparation process.
No, totally. It seems, and of course, I think we've talked about this in previous episodes. So, listener, you might want to go back. But a really strong barometer on musical development is repertoire exposure. So in a competition, you're probably just going to play a lot of music, and that just really puts you in a different category, I think, as a player. So I love that mindset. And it sounds like in your competition experience, you're just competing against yourself.
Totally.
You're presenting the best version of what you could do.
Yeah, I think if you did compare it to a sport, it would be like golf or swimming, maybe, or something, where there's no defense. Like you don't play defense. You better not be playing defense against the other people. But there's no defense against you at all. And all you're doing is like competing against, in golf, you're like competing against the course, kind of. And in swimming, you're competing, against each other in a way, but there's no way that you can impact or influence somebody else. You just, except for maybe getting a lane placement. That's weird, but you're competing against yourself.
There is a psychological thing. You could have that mindset where you sort of look over in the other lane and you see someone go, wow, that was their time, or that's how they played Merlin. I got to get on it. But it doesn't sound like that's what you're describing.
I don't feel that way. I feel like there's an element of being so comfortable and confident with your preparation at the competition that you can watch somebody else play the same piece that you're going to play in 10 minutes and they play it totally different and they just like absolutely slam it. And you can take that and say, that's really amazing. Good for them. I want to talk to them later. But right now I'm going to go and play that same piece. And you don't change it. Right? I mean, it's not like you're sitting there and it's like, okay, now I'm going to play this piece better than that person because I am going to play it louder.
Yeah, and it's rare that you can suddenly, inexplicably up your game, you know? It's like the students at the jury where they're sort of like, well, I'll just do it better at the jury. I don't know if you will.
It's happened before.
It's definitely happened.
And
I think I would say it's related to the fact that students tend to dress up a lot more at the jury. I think that's my theory. So if you're listening and you study with me, dress up for your lessons.
Yeah. Right. Those cuffs will really help.
Oh my goodness, especially if you're playing cymbals or snare drums. What about this as a you mentioned this, but this is sort of a further in one thing. What about the idea of networking, not just with other players, but with the judges and the other people that are sort of around? Like maybe they're probably going to be people from the industry there. There might be management there. There might be other percussionists that even if you don't win, they sort of are aware of you.
Yeah.
In the way that if you apply for a grant or a job and you don't get it, at least those people know who you are and they can consider you for other things in the future. Did you find that to be the case too?
Gosh, I think that's really, really insightful. Yeah. I mean, I didn't feel like I had, let's say someone come up to me after the finals or something and say, we want to offer you a recording contract. But I felt like actually the jury at Trump, they're very great about keeping the jury and the competitors separate.
Okay.
You'll pass by them in the hallway, but it's really like strict rules that you can't communicate with people.
Oh, so it's not like the Olympic Village or something.
No, it is with the competitors.
Yes. Oh, I understand. Okay,
in a way,
you're yeah. Okay.
But the jury, like for instance, I knew that Nancy Zeltzman was going to be a juror my year, because she was listed on the pamphlet, and I had known Nancy for a handful of years at that point. But I didn't tell her that I was going to apply, and so she listened to the tapes without knowing that my name was in there at all.
Wow.
And then they blindly rank everybody. And then when we were there and she found out that I was one of the 30 competitors, she would see me and we would walk by each other in the hall, totally silent. Like we might just like look at each other, but there wasn't any like stop and chat.
Okay.
Like we would if it was normal. And so even somebody who I felt like fairly close with, there was a pretty strict divide during the competition. And then after the competition was over, then I got the chance to like debrief with Nancy for a few days, and it was amazing. But and then afterwards, after you've been either eliminated there, I don't know if they still do this. Maybe I should have a disclaimer. But after you're eliminated or the competition's over, then they gave you the judges' comments.
Oh, nice.
Which was amazing. And for me, just the ability to get this wide-ranging viewpoint on where I was in my playing was worth everything. But I'll tell you, probably the most impactful thing maybe for me was not because I was there, or it was not a person who was there in the Netherlands with me. But I feel like the first time I kind of was known by Bob Van Cise was, I was sharing a house with Ian Rosenbaum.
Ah, okay.
Shout out to Ian if you're listening. You were like the best housemate ever.
Wow. Okay. High praise.
He was so awesome to like come back in a late night and like make some toast with um, like Hagelslag, like chocolate sprinkles and
Yeah, yeah,
um, Nutella.
yeah.
And we could just like talk forever, and he was so awesome. It was just really great. But yeah, so I think just by getting around, Ian, and obviously like getting to know him better was like invaluable. But
Mm.
also like I was able to, I was maybe in Bob's conversation, and it's not like Bob's sitting there, uh, you know, whatever, thinking about me at all. But just to know that I had some kind of connection with him was actually really
Mm.
important, and turned out
Yeah.
to be great when I saw him later in life.
Mm. That's great. Yeah, no, see, I, I totally agree.
Yeah.
It resonates. That's like I this is a strange phenomenon to me that you would go to a competition and then live with the people against whom you're competing.
Yeah. But isn't that like part of, I'm sure there are people that were put together that never saw each other,
Oh, I'm sure. No, no,
right?
I bet. And I bet this happens too at orchestra auditions. If you're going with a classmate or a friend
Yeah.
and you stay together and then sort of then you might one of you might win, I guess.
Sure, and that's awesome, and you have to be prepared for that. And it's
Mm,
part of the preparation process is that mental preparation, I think, of
definitely.
like, how do I be so comfortable with myself that I can be in the presence of other people who may not be as comfortable with themselves,
Mm,
right? The people
yeah.
who are out there and they're like, maybe they shoot a vibe your way, or
Mm,
um, maybe they like purposefully do something weird, like try to say something to you, or
yeah,
like inadvertently like use the instrument that you were going to use
definitely.
or something.
I have the feeling you would be great at orchestra auditions because it seems like what trips people up is the sort of group warm up space, and you're sort of seeing other people warm up, you're seeing their mallets, you're seeing them aggressively fluffing the timpani mallets or just going to town on a practice pad or something like that, and it can really unnerve you,
Yeah,
it seems like. Yeah.
but I
I
think
remember
it's
going to an audition once for a summer festival, and I had a snare drum with me, and somebody, I don't remember who it was, so I'm not anonymizing for anything other than lack of memory. He came up to me and he said, "What are you packing?" I love that.
the heat.
The heat. Oh, sandwiches,
Yeah, right.
crackers,
Yeah, I've got a gingham napkin.
a bottle of champagne.
Yes, yeah, for you for afterwards.
Yeah, for afterwards, for when I destroy you.
Yeah, you can be like Ivan Drago in
Yeah,
Rocky 4.
yeah, I will.
You
Yeah,
will lose.
yeah. Or I'm on my way to christen a boat after this. So I've got a few bottles of champagne here.
Yeah, the SS You Suck. uh,
That is particular to percussion auditions, maybe that there's this group warm up room,
yeah,
and then everybody seems to turn towards the wall.
yeah.
Yeah, it's tough, and I think you have seem to have a mental fortitude to deal with this. But I think that's something that's surprising to a lot of people um, when they go to a competition.
Yeah.
Or I mean, I guess an audition is a competition of some kind.
Yep.
But so what else? What are other benefits of this?
I mean, I really think that the everything else for me is superficial.
Mm,
Like the only things that really matter are that you are pushing yourself to be better than you can be.
mm,
That's the whole point for me. So, and I think it comes down to um preparing. Like, do you
mm,
know, I'm speaking not the singular you, but like the listening public, like like do you know how to do something the best? Like, do you know
mm,
how to prepare a piece the best? And if you
mm,
don't, um if you don't feel like you have a sense of like, if I had all the time and the resources in the world, I would prepare this way. If you don't have that idea out there, then maybe you should talk to your teacher
Mm,
about that. Because sometimes
mm.
folks don't know really how to practice well.
Yeah, and the competition brings it out because you just don't have enough time. There's too much music.
Yeah.
So you can't do the practicing where you're just repeat, 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 repeat. You have to be very strategic
Yeah.
with it. You might need something like perhaps we've talked about in previous episodes. Like a chart or a plan or
Sure.
something like that. No, it does seem like that's a real turning point for people. I sort of see two, at least in the people I've been fortunate to work with. There's this pivot when you're an undergrad from talent to skill,
Mm.
where your natural talent is no longer enough to sort of sustain you, and you have to change to skill. And it seems like it's kind of sophomore or junior year.
Yeah.
And then there's this professionalizing when you start to prepare for some sort of competition or audition or some sort of thing like that.
Yeah.
And there's no substitute for a deadline, you know?
Oh, totally.
Yeah. So
Well, there's some saying that something like hard work will always beat talent, as if talent doesn't work hard.
Mm,
You know, there's like you'll always the tortoise will always beat the hare.
mm.
So for me, it's like it's starting as soon as possible. And amazingly enough, at least in my email inbox, I got an invitation today to apply for the Trump competition. You know,
I mean, I don't mean to pry, but I think you might be too old.
well, it was the Trump email. If I tried to apply, I wouldn't get in for a number of reasons, I think. But
Yeah, I don't think I could get into an undergraduate program anymore. The level is so high. People sound great.
They sound great, and it's really inspiring to me. I mean, I feel like kind of the old man on the block in the fact that I saw the new Trump website, and the 2010 competition isn't even on the website.
Uh-oh.
Like it didn't exist.
You dropped it from the CV.
So I can assure you the 2010 competition existed. It was before the internet. But and that was back when the competition happened every 4 years.
Oh, yeah.
And then they switched it right after our year to be every 2 years.
It's because you played so poorly.
Yeah.
We cannot withstand having this happen every year.
Yeah, you can't do that.
No amount of sprinkles is going to make this okay.
Yeah, so
did you have it on a leap day?
No. Oh my gosh. Hey, yeah, that's actually a good point.
I was also in listening to our previous episodes. We tend to agree a lot.
Yeah,
which I suppose is why we're doing the podcast. But so I was thinking one goal I had today was to disagree.
Okay.
Is it all right if I mildly disagree?
I would love that.
So I do think there's a benefit of the competition in terms of winning, which is potentially having a platform. You know, conceivably, if you're into contemporary music or if you're into a certain kind of music, you want to show your curation. You want to highlight a certain kind of music. You want to highlight some certain themes in your music.
Yeah.
But it's hard to do that if you don't have what, Teddy Roosevelt called the bully pulpit. If you don't have a platform.
Yeah.
So there is something to be said for getting a seat at the table, so to speak. Especially if you want to change the kind of music people are playing, if you want to change ideas of equity and inclusion, or if you just want to highlight a certain kind of music. Like if you want to play this at Carnegie Hall, you have to first play at Carnegie Hall, and an appropriate way of doing that is to get the notice and the platform that winning a competition might provide. So yeah, sure, maybe you might play more conservative music at the competition, although most competition music is pretty crazeballs. But sort of having that opportunity to present something seems really important.
Oh, I don't disagree with that.
Oh crap.
I think the mental mindset that you go into a competition with really matters. And if you go
I think
in
so.
needing to win
Yeah.
for either validation or for like this is my last chance, I have to win,
Yeah.
I don't think that competition is going to go well for you.
I don't think so either.
It's going to be tricky. But I think if you go in with the mindset of I'm here uh, to learn and push myself, and you invest in the process and not
Yeah.
the product will be there at the end,
Yes.
or it
I have to
can be
take
there.
one thing. I am recording, but it doesn't look like it. Okay, better. Um, no, I totally agree. I remember when a few years ago, maybe 8 years ago, Jason Haheim gave a class at the University of Kansas, and he
Oh,
said the number one thing contributing to me winning this audition for the Met Opera was not needing to win.
yeah. And
So
it seems backwards, right? Like, don't you think the most hungry person would win? But in music, I feel like that doesn't happen all the time because
I
music
don't
is so
think it
different.
happens. I don't think it happens in a lot of things. I remember watching a video of Michael Jordan teaching his youth camp. This is really digging deep.
I'm with you.
Sorry, but he said, like if this shot needs to go in, you haven't prepared enough. There's only two things that can happen: you make it or you miss it, and then you just move on and you practice so that you make it. And then, but if you try extra hard, it's not going to make a difference
Okay.
in the competition.
I'm going to add on to that. So this is my issue with like some announcers in sports things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is okay, um we get to the end of a football game and
Mm-hmm.
the the field goal, and it's like they're down by 3, 1 second on the clock, and it's up to the kicker to make the field goal and tie the game and send it into overtime or
Yeah.
miss it and lose. And
Yes.
um a lot of times those kicks are at like the 45, 50 yard line.
Yeah.
They're like
Yeah.
long kicks.
Mm-hmm.
So or 40 to 50 yard kicks. So
Mm-hmm.
uh so it's like, okay, well, the whole team's on his shoulders, here we go. And my thinking has for a long time has been, oh no, don't put this on him. This is
Yeah.
not his fault. The fault is that the team is not up by 100 points right now.
Yeah. 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 I totally agree. It's like you could have won earlier, I
Yeah.
suppose.
So
Yeah.
like for instance, and I don't mean to diverge from percussion talk, but
Are you going to talk about the 1990s Buffalo Bills?
do you
The
want to talk
four,
about
the four consecutive losses, wide right, the
I
field goals.
I will talk about Bruce Smith all day. Um, the I'm thinking about the last Clyburn competition, which
Mm.
I follow the Clyburn competition like it's my job when it comes up every 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And this past one was so interesting to me that uh, we kind of went through a pretty normal selection process at the beginning, and
Mm.
we got to the semifinal round, and the person who
Mm-hmm.
ended up winning, Yoon Chan Lim, played the Transcendental Etudes, Liszt Transcendental Etudes, and played at a level that was so far above everyone else who was in the semifinal round that by I would guess like every metric, I can't imagine that somebody watched him and said it's not that great. Um,
Larry David probably
yeah,
did.
meh.
Eh.
So he was so far above that it was like basically his to lose at that point. Like he had to really wreck it. And he came through in the final round with maybe one of the great performances of recorded time with
Hmm.
the Rachmaninoff Third Piano Concerto, in my opinion. But
Hmm.
like his performance was like mind-boggling. So
Hmm.
he like knocked out of the park. I can't believe they even awarded a second prize.
Hmm.
Like I thought they would have given him the full house there.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, so it's kind of crazy that there's this like a lot of times competition is so close that, okay, well, it's just a matter of interpretation, and does the judge like me and that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
I mean, that's a particular thing to music competitions, isn't it? I mean, if you're running a foot race, one person finishes before the other, right? And
Yep.
in a music competition, there's so much subjectivity, such that there are so many scandals and kerfuffles around this, and there's no, even if everybody plays the same music,
Yeah.
there's no way really of knowing, and it comes down to taste, and you can sort of mediate that by having a wide variety of judges. But let's be honest, the judges are still within a really narrow set of people, right?
Yeah.
I think you might need to have like somebody from a different discipline there, like a doctoral committee, like an economist, a botanist. You know,
Well,
who are the let's say people on this jury?
not to keep belaboring the issue, but probably the most impactful competition I did was the Tromp competition. But the way Tromp does it is they have a jury of people who are kind of in our field, like what I would consider to be classical percussionists. And then they have one person from outside that realm. They've for when I was competing, the composer conductor Lukas Wies was the chair of the jury, but then they also had somebody else. So
Was it Henry Kissinger?
I would have loved that. That would have been really awesome. Julia Childs. Well, the snare drum roll. Yeah, so they had like the year that I went and watched but didn't compete in 2006. It was Trilok Gurtu.
Oh, really?
And he was like such an amazing thing. And my year, I feel so unbelievably honored to have been heard by Terry Bozzio.
Nice.
And there's a picture of him hugging me.
Was he wearing a muscle shirt?
He wasn't.
Wow.
I know. I thought, oh my gosh. So I couldn't believe it. Like the jury was just these stars in my mind. Like I couldn't believe that these people were all in the same room together. It was like going to the Grammys or something. But having Terry Bozzio there was like really special, and I really valued his input because he just sees things and he's experienced things from a totally different viewpoint.
Yeah.
So I agree with you.
What were his comments like? Needs more cymbals.
Have you thought about chromatic tom-toms?
Yeah.
But yeah, he was notable. I mean, I want to maybe come back to something you had mentioned before, which is like when you win the competition, it gives you a platform to be a leader in your field. And this kind of ties in with the Terry Bozzio thing, because there is a point, and I heard this from Nancy afterwards, and I don't think it's bad for me to say this, but there was a point when Terry Bozzio became like he at the first round, I think he recognized that there were different levels of skill and interpretation and musicianship that were on display. And so then after the first couple rounds, they made their first cut. And I think I've heard that was pretty easy. But then once we got to the semifinal round, he basically refused to do anything anymore. Like he was threatening to leave.
Wow. I'm sure. I mean, once you get to a certain point and it's outside your discipline, everybody's good, right?
I think so. But I think he's also getting, like what he was getting after was the point that when people are at like achieve a certain level of skill, why are we having to say that this person's better than this person? They have complementary skills and they're all expressing themselves in a really powerful way. Why do we have to do it?
I do think that happens in piano competitions sometimes, because at Van Cliburn, I'm sure there are managers and concert series that are watching this.
Yeah.
And so you might have your eyes on somebody who didn't win, but you think that person would be a great fit.
Yeah.
For what we're doing, I definitely knew that it happened at the Chopin competition. One summer you hipped me to the Chopin competition.
Love it.
Remember that? And I watched it,
Yeah.
The War on the Metronome.
It's
There were no 3 steady beats for a week.
Well, and I'm not going to really know all the details here, but there's a scandal with the Chopin competition with Pogorelich.
Really?
Back in the, like, maybe was it early 2000s? Somebody who's listening or somebody with the internet can figure this out. But
Please write in. Yeah.
it's yeah, the Pogorelich thing was wild because he was like such a character on stage that he repelled some of the judges. And even though he was clearly the most skilled player and the most powerful interpreter, I think he got cut pretty early on. And I think there was something with like the judges and like his teacher or something. Somebody will know better than I did, and I might just go look it up again. But
well, that brings up a good point, right? Where a lot of times in these competitions, the kind of player that you might want is a polarizing player in real life.
Yeah.
But in a competition, often the most polarizing players are cut because the highest and the lowest scores might be dropped, or you might say, I hated person X.
Yeah.
How could they possibly use felt mallets?
Yep.
And I might say person X was the best.
Yeah.
They were the only one that used felt mallets.
Yeah.
And so there is that possibility that, much like in an orchestra audition, you can get to the finals by basically
Not
going
losing.
straight down the middle,
Yeah.
not losing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there is that possibility. And so I know that often people quibble with who wins competitions.
Yeah. So, okay, this gets me to the thought about your point from before, that there's a forum and what we're doing, and I think that's absolutely perfect and spot on if the jury thinks your same way. And
You're right.
My problem with music competition, especially the ones that I've competed in, is I feel like I've gone out there and I have put myself, as genuinely as I'm able to do through communicating with this idiom, I've put myself out there. Of like, this is how I am, this is my performance. And I've seen people around me who play to the quantized middle.
Yeah.
And just like you're talking about. And I feel like it's such a shame to have a percussion competition or a music competition in general. And like, if you think about the jury's role, their role isn't to necessarily pick the best player. Their role is to pick who is going to lead this generation of people. And that's what I feel like is the jury's responsibility in these competitions, because what are we choosing? We're not choosing the best. We're choosing the people who everyone's going to look up to until the next time we do this.
That's true, but I'm not sure every juror believes that way.
No, and that's my problem with it, is that I feel like the chairperson of a jury, if I were the chairperson of a jury, I would show up there and say, this is what we're doing with this competition. This competition is too important. If we're doing a competition, like even the high school concerto competition, you pick 2 winners or something and they play in May with the orchestra. Those people are leaders in your school band. And I think it's hard, especially for these things that are such high profile events, like the Geneva competition and things. Like, these people should be leaders, and maybe not the people who have the cleanest snare drum roll. I mean, they should have a clean snare drum roll, no doubt. They should be skilled to a point, but I have a feeling like when you're getting there, you're close.
I do think this is more common. This belief is more common in chamber music competitions. Because you're often more judged by your curation. Sometimes there's more openness in terms of what the ensembles are, so you have more leeway, and you're a little bit more judged by what you play and how you play it, instead of just against some rubric. I feel when Hannah and I did the Concert Artists Guild competition, by the time we got to the finals, the ensemble, it's almost as if you were just choosing an ensemble or a person instead of sort of how they played, because the sort of food that was on offer was so different. It kind of comes down to, at least in that competition, what the people, the judges are basically picking someone to get management. Is this group or person capable or interesting to be managed in some way. And I kind of like that mindset because it encourages you to present you
Yeah.
instead of sort of present the competition repertoire. And sometimes for percussionists, what we play is as important as how we play it. And when you have to play a set repertoire,
Yeah.
it advantages a certain type of player sometimes, I think.
Oh, yeah.
There's a certain type of person that looks at that and goes, that's what I would have done anyway.
Yeah, or there are pieces like I won't name names, but there was a job opening for like a music ensemble maybe 10 or 12 years ago or something. And it was so interesting that the repertoire that was chosen was the same as one of the competitors' senior recitals.
Yes.
Do you know what
I'm
I'm
aware.
talking about?
I know exactly which one you're talking about.
So that kind of stuff is kind of like, okay, maybe we don't all need to be here and do that. If we've already chosen your person, let's not go through the charade. But I feel like genuinely,
I think for that ensemble, it was more of a charade. Unfortunately.
And I mean, no hard feelings because there's like a ton of respect there, but yeah, so something like that. But I agree with you. I just feel like there's.
Can I call an audible?
Yeah, let's do it.
What about downsides to doing a competition? Should we talk about that?
Yeah. Do you have one ready to go?
I have 3.
Okay. Do you want to go?
One is
I can think off the.
I mean I'll just tell you my 3
Sure.
quickly, and then you can sound off.
Okay.
One is if you're in school, it can make it tough to satisfy the academic requirements of your school.
Absolutely.
2, it might encourage you, like you said, to sort of play to the middle, which is unfortunate. 3, sometimes competitions, the repertoire and the competitors and the judges are not the most diverse spectrum of things. And so if you're going to devote a significant amount of time to this, and it's sort of like you are giving your tacit support of an organization whose mission maybe you don't agree with.
Yeah.
What do you think about those 3? I think number 2 kind of sucked, but
I think it's right on. Like
you can't hit all 3 free throws.
Sure you can.
Well, what have you? I wonder if when somebody shoots 3 free throws instead of 2, what the stats are on making the first one, missing the second, and then making the third one.
Oh,
do you think that? I would say that's the most frequent one.
Because you have a third.
It's rarely 2-2-1, make 2, miss 1, right?
Yep. Yeah. Miss the last 3-point field goal or 3-point free throw.
That's demoralizing.
Yeah, that's
anyway.
Brutal.
So what are your responses?
I
really hope you disagree at some point.
Well, I think that the one that came to my mind right away was the fact that you will put your life on hold. So somebody who was one of my like mentors growing up did a percussion competition, and he took time off of school to prepare for the competition.
Wow. Okay.
And I knew this going in, and I knew that I wasn't going to do that. And that was something at the beginning that I really felt stressed about, was the fact that I don't have enough. I have to play in orchestra. I have to go to these music history classes. I have to write these papers. But I'm also learning, and I know this isn't a ton, but we were learning about 2 hours of music.
That's a lot, yeah.
It's
a lot.
Nothing compared to the Clyburn.
Yeah, but I mean, consider this, compared to pianists who have hundreds of years.
Yeah.
When you play percussion, you're basically playing unaccompanied.
Yep.
And in many other competitions, you might be playing 10% of the notes played on stage or something like that.
Yeah.
And often in our competitions, you're not playing one instrument, you know.
Nope.
There, God forbid there are boobams or something like that.
Yeah. So I mean, so for me, I was really worried about that, and then once I got into the process, so I left for the competition sometime in like early November, I think.
Okay.
So I had basically from July through November or something. I think I found out in July that I was going to be competing,
Mm.
and then through November. So then once I was in school, I realized that for me, it was really beneficial to have the relief.
Yeah,
I was able
it
to go,
forces you
yeah,
to balance.
absolutely. And for me, that
Mm.
really helps to not
Yeah.
focus in on this one thing, but to actually see it in context and like go to the music history class and try to think about like, what the context of Schumann's bipolar composition, maybe like how I could reinterpret that on my Donatoni solo.
Mm.
Or like what is Debussy, like studying the Debussy in class or playing nocturnes in orchestra, how does that influence my Mannery?
Were you at this time, was this when you first encountered Chris Cross? Christ Cross?
um it, I thought you meant at first the amazing early hip hop duo,
Oh yeah,
like
yeah, Chris Cross.
Chris Cross.
What was their song?
They're gonna make
Whoop,
you
there it
jump
is.
jump.
Oh, jump. Sorry.
And they didn't they wear like the clothes inside out and backwards and stuff? That
Mm-hmm.
should be us.
Mm-hmm. Well, first we got to get the sponsors, I
Um,
think.
because like if yellow seems to be like a really nice color for us.
I think so. And actually, I think yellow would go really well behind you on that wall.
Yes,
The banner.
it should come next week. I think by the next
Oh
time we
yeah, the
see each other.
flag. I love this.
Well, we'll see if it turns out okay. It's going up.
I have a window here, and I wonder if I could put one in the window like the X-Files when Mulder
Yes.
wanted to talk to that guy. Put
Yes.
the X in the window. I think I could do that. Like when we're recording, it's like it's mic drop time.
I love that. Yeah, 'cause that's the one that you can slide the thing over, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's too sunny most of the time. It destroys my office temperature. But
Well, I'll tell you the thing that I just thought of before we started recording, for maybe some like maybe income for the duo here,
okay.
is that we have, how Mr. Beast on YouTube he started the Beastables
Yeah,
at
yeah,
Walmart. So for
yeah.
us, we could have Mike Drops, which is like a
Oh,
candy,
yeah.
right?
Well, I mean, Hannah's Mike and Mike, I
That's
thought
one of the
was a good thing.
best.
So we could have a mic drop of Mike and Mike's.
We could have Mike and Mike's. Mike and Mike's.
Mike and Mike's.
Yep. And
I like that.
but like, they could be like little like lemon drops or something, or
Yeah.
like I don't know.
Jujubes.
But they're Mike Drops.
Maybe Junior Mints, like that kind of texture.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah.
Or I mean, you've described this in on your website about stuff that's in your stick bag.
Yeah.
And I think you said you have gum or mints. Maybe this could be a stick bag based candy.
I love it.
So it unwraps silently.
Yeah, it's not plastic, it's like mesh.
Mesh, yeah. Or it's just something where it's possible to get this thing into your mouth while an orchestra is playing.
Okay, I like that. Or
Yeah.
maybe some kind of dispenser.
Like a Pez dispenser.
Like a Pez, but you could it could be like a pen that you click the back and
a mic drop
mic
comes out.
It drops out of the
It drops. Yeah, the mic drops.
Yeah, it could be a zero gravity pen.
Wow.
And, and then
Yeah, space pen.
Space pen.
Fisher space pen. Yeah. I think we're coming up with a lot of great ideas.
Okay.
Maybe we need a mic drop design competition.
Okay.
So, I mean, after speaking with you about an hour about competitions, I'm thinking, should we start our own?
Yeah, that seems like the thing that like John Oliver would do in his show. He's like, this is when he would announce that we're holding a competition, and it's Okay, one of my favorite running races is the Barkley Marathon. This is the
Okay. I don't
one
know about
that
this.
takes place kind of in the Smoky Mountains
Oh,
area.
it's the kind of whimsical one, right?
Yeah, and you have to
Okay.
write in like a physical letter.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and I think we should do something like that where somebody has to like send us mail.
Yeah. You know, I was thinking as you were talking about sports,
Yeah,
that we were talking a few summers ago about categorizing sports. Like, does the clock go up or down?
yeah,
Is there a who can touch the ball?
yep,
Can you touch the ball?
yep.
And I think this is something where a sport. Do you see the other competitors? I was thinking about that with competitions. You know,
Yeah.
are you visible to other competitors, or even our competition? If it's a write-in competition, for example,
Yeah.
do you know who else is competing?
Yeah, yeah, I love that.
Mm.
Um, yeah, here was a category I thought of this week was does does when you're playing the sport, number one, does it have defense and offense playing simultaneously? And number two, is that the same number of people
Ooh.
on defense
Oh
and offense?
wow, that is interesting. Yeah.
Right? Because
Yeah.
it's totally different. Like think about baseball. It's 1 on 9.
Mm. Mm. That doesn't seem fair.
It doesn't seem fair. Is cricket the
How
same
about this?
way?
How many people are not playing but on the team?
Right. Yeah. Like what? How many subs are there in badminton?
I think there is zero. I think they go in.
So if you get injured, if you twist an ankle, your
Yeah,
team's
you're
done.
no. You could still go 1-on-2.
1 on 2.
I think so.
Yeah, but
Somebody please tell us.
yeah, but like in hockey, you have some players on the bench, but if someone gets a penalty, they're out.
They're out. Yeah, I like that they sort of have to sit there.
Yeah. You
That's
think about
cool.
what you just did.
No, yeah, no, I think this is another episode is our categorizations of sports.
Yeah, we should
And
categorize things.
yeah. Well, I think the thing is that that's how you and I both learn,
Yeah,
is that we categorize things.
Yeah.
You know, what type of mallets are there? What type of competitions are there?
yeah,
Therefore, you can sort of place yourself inside of a spectrum, and sports are the same way. But I like the idea of like who can touch what
yeah.
in a sport. Like in baseball, can other people touch the bat? I think it's just that one person can touch the bat, right?
Yeah, I don't know the rules on that.
Okay. In soccer, do the referees ever touch the ball?
I don't think so.
I've never seen it. The only thing I've seen is the coaches when
Uh.
the ball comes to them. They usually do some amazing kick to get it back into play, right?
They do like a backwards windmill.
And they're in a suit.
Yeah. But okay, I've seen the referees, they place the ball for penalty kicks, right?
They do, and they do that little spray can.
Yep. I love that. They like tag the field.
That's right. MC was here. I was just thinking about like the refs touching the ball because I was watching a basketball game the other day and there was a jump ball.
Yeah.
And I thought, this must be the referee's Scheherazade.
Yes.
You are being asked to throw a ball
Yep.
straight into the air, surrounded by two tall people.
With
and
no
if it
spin.
angles one way or the other, with no spin. And if you angle it any way or the other, and you have no prep.
Yeah. It's
For it. So
you've waited 2 movements already with
yeah,
no action.
this is why I think that the refs are really reluctant to call the jump ball,
Yeah.
because it's sort of like,
Okay, how about this? In the future, we have someone who's a designated referee, but they are like, the way like in NFL, the kickers were like former soccer players.
That's right.
Sometimes. Like there's one referee whose job is just to do the jump ball, and they were a former volleyball player.
That's right. So they do it like
Yeah,
this.
they do it. They do a bump. They bump it.
Or like a setter. It's a setter.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder why. What about we were just talking at the beginning about the coin flip,
Yep.
right? What if you mess up the coin flip?
I don't know how it's possible, but I guess it's like, you mean if it lands
Well, I
like
think
vertically?
no. I think if it doesn't spin at all, it doesn't count, right?
Funk. It's just, it goes straight up and straight down.
And it falls into a manhole
Yeah.
cover.
It goes into the uniform of the player.
The player's like ruffling
Yeah.
his shirt to try to get it out.
Yeah, it's like, it's heads. We said it was heads. Yeah, like what happens if during the coin flip one of the players grabs it and like flips it over?
It just runs away. Oh, this is the equivalent at a competition. When you finish playing, you take the snare drum with you.
Okay, here's the story from Tromp 2010.
Oh no.
The second round of Tromp competition, you play a marimba solo written by a Dutch composer. There are many. I know you and I know them, but people out there, if you're still listening,
welcome to our sports podcast. What types of citrus fruits are there?
Where we speculate about sports. We have no preparation.
Next week is types of candy bars.
Yeah.
Is chocolate on the outside? Is chocolate on the inside?
Sports where you can use your feet.
Can you use your feet in cricket?
I don't know.
I like the racquetball. I've been playing a lot of racquetball, and is the field enclosed?
Yeah. Yeah. Are you standing on a place that's in play?
Ooh, that's good. That's like curling. You are standing.
Yeah. You
in a place that's on play.
Yeah, you're part of the match.
Do you play regardless of temperature?
And yeah, just weather in general.
Yeah, do you play regardless of the weather?
Like if it rains, are you playing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love this.
Where does Model UN fit into this as a sport? Are you representing a nation state?
We should make a dichotomous key about all of this.
Well, I think you would want to make a flowchart, right? I love your should I use 4 mallets flowchart.
But it's one of my crowning achievements.
Yeah.
But
so
only because of the 3 mallet part.
Yeah. I think this is where we disagree, which is I'm much more likely to use 4 mallets but I will never use 3.
Right. We're on the same page there.
Yeah. It's just so weird.
No, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Thanks, though.
So, okay, we've got on the docket, we're going to talk about candy bars.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about nation states. And, okay, so you were telling me about 2010.
Okay, so
Tromp.
2010 Tromp, you were talking about somebody taking the snare drum with them off stage.
Yes.
So you play the Dutch marimba solo in the second round. The Pushkin's percussion products, PPP, provided all the instruments for us. And they're like...
So you're saying that Pushkin's percussion products provided percussion products?
Posthumously.
PPPPP?
So they gave all the instruments, but there was somebody in Europe, and I don't think this was malicious at all, but there was somebody in Europe who, in order to prepare for the Pushkin's percussion products, to prepare for Louis Andriesen's woodpecker, rented the tuned woodblocks from PPP.
Wow, okay.
And they rented them, and I don't think it was to keep them from other people, but there was a lot of European competitors who were playing Louis Andriesen. And these are like proprietary percussion products from Pushkin's percussion products.
Oh, they're proprietary.
But you have to have these tuned woodblocks.
That's right. Yeah.
For the piece. So, and these were, what I understand, are the only set that was like readily available in Europe. so when they came to the competition, they brought the Louis Andriessen blocks with them, which is the agreement. I mean, that was what they agreed with PPP, but they kept them from other people in Europe using these tuned woodblocks to practice. So then they had to work out some kind of deal when they got there. And like I said, I don't think it was to like keep them from other people, but that's what ended up happening.
So Pushkin's percussion products prevented percussion practice.
Prominently.
Prominently prevented percussion practice. Precipitously prevented percussion practice. Interesting. Wow, I've never... That is fascinating.
Yeah.
I remember I did a timpani audition once, and the drums were the Walter Light, not the 14s, but the 11s.
Oh, those are great drums.
Where the tuning key is on the other side.
Yeah, what great drums.
And the tuning key comes off. And the person before me accidentally took the tuning keys with them.
Oh.
And so I go on stage and I'm like, there's no tuning key. So I was probably like a half step off of everything.
And that tuning key would have helped?
No.
It's like, I'm a half step off of everything, and you're just sitting there like,
whatever. I'm just going to clear the head. Yeah.
Good thing I brought this adjustable crescent wrench.
I think I got stopped. I was playing Beethoven 1.
Okay.
And I think I got stopped I was playing. You could have even just waited 1 second and I would have been resting.
Like mid-trio?
Oh, thank you.
Stop. Thank you.
Yeah. I guess that's something in competitions is that, generally speaking, they let you play.
Yep.
Compared to an audition.
Yeah, they're pretty uniform, right? So they'll like blow the horn after your 15 minutes is up exactly.
That's right. That's right.
Just to be fair, but...
Well, speaking of blowing the horn, do you think we've exhausted competitions?
Sure.
Who won?
Okay,
today?
Maybe that's something we should have people write in about.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Who wins?
We should, like, maybe we could vote. Should we have a vote?
Yeah, we could do a vote.
And should we do, I mean, this is going to come out for those of you who are listening still, and you're not watching. This is probably coming out on YouTube. Mm-hmm. We do a video podcast too, and you can go to our channel there, MikeDrop, and look for the bright yellow logo. That's us. And this will be episode 14, be the second video we've released. But if you're watching on the video, we have audio podcasts too that are from way before the videos, and they're still actually coming out as the time of our recording here. Yes.
Yeah, we've got a lot, but I'm looking forward to the non-percussion ones.
Me too.
Just the sort of unhinged opinions.
The categorization.
Yeah.
Like, do you organize your books by color? No. Don't do it.
I did read this book by that author, Paul Auster.
Okay.
Oh, and yeah. It's about this particular one. He's the author of the New York trilogy, but this particular one was about a guy whose father passed away, and he didn't know his father very well. They had a contentious relationship, but his father bequeathed him all of his books, and his father organized his books like the Paris Opera in the order in which they were acquired. That's how the Paris Opera organizes their scores.
Oh, no.
Not alphabetically, but the order in which they got them.
Oh, no.
And I love that. And so this guy decides he's going to read all the books in order. And it kind of gave him a biographical history of his father, which is pretty cool.
This is a true story?
No, it's a book of fiction. But the Opera Garnier thing is true.
It's true.
I love that.
How I just don't understand. It's like, let's put your sheet music library in order of importance.
Well, I guess I read a book about alphabetization.
Okay.
And putting stuff in alphabetical order is also arbitrary, isn't it?
Yeah, but
it's just that more people know that construct.
Yeah, it doesn't work in like languages that don't have alphabet.
Yeah, I guess, do you remember the Beijing Olympics and people were so stymied by the order in which nations came in? Because in China, they organize things by number of strokes it takes to write it.
Yes. Yeah, so the things were just happening in random order for them.
To us, yeah. But interesting.
Hey, amazing. Well, okay, what did we get through today?
I think we talked about that there are benefits to competitions that aren't winning.
I think that's probably the big takeaway, no?
Yeah, I think so. And I think it's worth doing competitions of all different shapes and sizes.
Yeah.
Not to compete, not to win, but to sort of develop yourself. I think we agreed about that.
Yeah. Yeah,
I hope we did.
Yeah, because otherwise we can't have a podcast without agreeing.
Agreecast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Can I ask one more question?
Yeah, of course.
So I should have asked this before, but when you're programming, how do you decide what pieces to play?
Ooh.
Because let's pretend like you have a round where you have 45 minutes. You've got one obligatory piece that was commissioned by the competition.
Yeah.
And then you have like 40 minutes basically to program at your will, anything. So how do you program based on what you think the jury's going to want? Do you program based on something you already know really well? Do you program based on like a theme or trying to like show yourself in a certain light? You obviously want to be like as diverse as you're letting the competition or the competition's letting you be. Like you want to make sure you have setup piece and a mallet piece on there for sure. What do you think? How do I
think
choose?
there are different schools of thought.
Yeah.
A couple things that pop to mind are that even though in a competition you learn a ton of music, I think your goal, your strategy should be to learn as little music as possible.
Hopefully.
Because you're still going to learn a lot of music. So I think I would bias towards stuff I know.
Yeah.
But the real question, well, a question would be, should this concert round, this competition round, be a good concert?
Yeah.
Or should it be a showcase? I remember once my teacher, Bob Van Sice, said, like, a school concert shouldn't be a good concert, a recital, student recital.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be a concert someone's going to pay $100 to go to.
Yeah.
It needs to satisfy the requirements of the degree. And so.
But if you can make it that.
Yes.
It's
that would be
so
great.
Powerful. Like if your pieces show you as the four mallet expert and the newest piece on the block and a classic piece and the new piece that just got written and the whatever timpani solo or theatrical piece or whatever it is that you put on there, if there's a through line that includes that piece, that new piece, that's virtuoso programming.
Yeah. I think you can confirm and dispel.
Yeah.
Like confirm what people might already think about you, and then dispel problem areas. So you could show a total breadth of skill.
Yeah.
So I agree. I think that's how you decide what to play. I think you might want to avoid overlapping pieces. Pieces that fulfill similar functions, musical functions. So that might mean if we're talking about marimba, maybe you don't play velocities and Merlin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they generally you're playing them for sort of the same reason.
Yeah.
But so that would be my little caveat.
I love it. Velocities and like the Paul Simon marimba solo, or like showing yourself in these different lights is with the same instrument. That can be really powerful. So I agree.
I do think there's a programming element depending on how long you can play. Like a piece, there might be a piece of music that's a wonderful piece of music, but maybe it's not a good fit for a competition.
Yeah.
Because maybe it takes 5 minutes to get going. or maybe it doesn't show almost immediately something.
Yeah.
So if you have an hour, great. But I think a good example of this is that Bob Becker piece Mudra,
Yeah.
in which you just don't play for the first 4 minutes of the piece if you're the soloist.
Yeah.
So that might be something to avoid in a competition setting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say don't worry about catering to the jury.
Ditto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think an exception to that might be a college audition, where I generally recommend to people to play pieces that the people listening to you will know.
Sure.
To some degree, because otherwise they're going to be flummoxed just by what you're playing, and it might be more difficult to judge, assess how you could be a good fit for the studio, or something like that. So that's my answer. Did we agree again?
Well, of course. But I'll have maybe one piece of advice for anyone who's going out there. And I know Trump is happening again this year, and I would guess Geneva's probably coming up at some point soon. But anybody who's out there looking for music competition, I think there's a lot of things that could help you prepare. There's a lot of people, and try to get as many people listening to you as possible. Put yourself in as many pressure situations as possible. But the thing that may be the most helpful is to practice and perform flexibly. So the going out and doing a tour before you leave is really awesome, to like go and show up. Nothing's going to work out perfectly in a tour, but to be able to adapt to something in the moment and
love it.
new instruments.
I love it.
For me, I will tell a story. I played the first 3 rounds, and I was lucky enough to make it to the final round. And there were 3 of us in the final round. Alexei Harasimez won the competition that year, not to be spoiler alert, but he won the competition, and everyone knows Asventuras. That was kind of premiered at the competition that year. And then Vasi, Serafima was awesome. Serafimova, sorry. Vasi, you're awesome. Serafimova. But anyway, so we were there, and we had announced the finals. We were practicing for the finals, and we all got to eat a little bit together. And the person who was running the competition came up to us, and he said, "Hey, Mike, I got a question for you." He said, "This Michael Torke concerto that you've been practicing forever." He said, "We didn't tell you this before. The first rehearsal is today." Right, but we didn't tell you this before, but the competition commissioned animation to go with the Michael Torke piece. So can you play this with a click?
Wow.
Right, after not having rehearsed that at all. And I ended up actually saying no. And the other folks, I think, did also. They both kind of agreed that playing with a click was really contrary to the point of the piece. But nonetheless, I mean, like, that sort of stuff happens all the time. It's not this like perfect system that just exists.
Yeah.
So being able to show up and say, okay, so they said that there was going to be a Musser vibraphone, but here's a Bergeron.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a Kurogi marimba in my life, but that's the only one that's here, so here I go.
Exactly. Yeah, totally.
Flexibly.
Yeah, just like a listener to this podcast needs to be flexible in their listening, because I think we got to the most important actual practical information at the tail end, and it was just sort of a by the way.
Oh yeah,
by the way, practice all these different ways, take lessons with different people.
Gotta go.
Yeah, maybe make a chart. Yeah, don't freak out.
Why don't the referee's stripes go horizontal?
It doesn't look good. Horizontal stripes make people look wider. Vertical stripes make people look thinner.
Since when is cosmetics part of the job?
I don't know. Why do referees wear? I'm gonna Google it.
I wish we had like a
Right.
Jamie from like Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah, somebody who could just
It,
a research assistant.
Jamie, why don't you bring that up on the screen?
Referees wear vertical black and white stripes to distinguish them, but why do they wear vertical ones?
Yeah. Tune in next time.
What is?
For when the mics discuss the finer points of fashion. Sports fashion with Mike and Mike.
Gotta go to my favorite blog, UniWatch, for that.
Hey, I like the one that you showed me where the person has sports photography that's mixed with Baroque art.
Oh yeah, art but make it sports.
Yeah.
I love art but make it sports.
Yeah.
Um.
So should we call it a day?
I think we should.
Hey.
But I'm getting closer to. Hold on.
Well,
okay, apparently referees used to be confused with officials, with players. Oh. Oh, it was just that the person who designed it just picked vertical stripes.
that was what it was.
That's it.
Well, that's a letdown.
I'm sorry. I wasted our listeners' time looking this up.
Well, there you go, everybody.
Well, why don't we call it? This was really fun.
Yeah.
I feel like I learned a lot. And by the end, we went from a competitive mindset to not competing.
We're not competitive
great?
people.
No, we're not.
A little bit, but
Secretly.
yeah. All right. Hey, well.
Okay. This is fun.
Bye everybody out there. Bye, Mike.
Yeah, bye.
See you next time.
Yeah.